Good morning, everybody. We're a little bit late starting. I'd like to welcome you. I'd like to welcome Glenn, our currently acting tourism manager, and Dr. Andrew Johnson, our new CEO. And thank you for Les for coming up today. The agenda today is relatively simple. There's probably some things which will lead into a little bit of extra conversation, which I think we will run with today. I'll let it run today, because there'll be some good discussion, which I think will help Andrew and Glenn come up to speed with our world. But I'd like to be out by 10:15. So talk quickly. Oh, sorry. No, I might have exaggerated there. 11:15. How about that?
So much red wine.
No red wine. That's not. Firstly, I'd like to ask Mia Bailey if she would offer our acknowledgement of country.
Mid-Murray Council would like to acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional custodians of the land, the Ngadjuri, Nawong, Nangaraku, Narkat, Ngarrindjeri and Paramount peoples of the Mid-Murray lands and waters. It is upon their ancestral lands and waters that Mid-Murray Council meets and operates, and Council pays respect to elders past and present and their spiritual beliefs that are of continuing importance to those First Nations peoples of today. Council further acknowledges the contributions and important role that First Nations peoples continue to play within the community, and we extend that respect to any peoples in attendance here today.
Thank you. Moving on to 3. So all of you who are attending. We have apologies from Phil Reid, from Sean Greer and from Councillor Kirsty McGregor. And Councillor Jen Davis is online in voice but not in... Can you see us, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. I can see everything.
She's online. We can't see you, but Councillor Davis can see us. I'd like to move to confirmation of minutes from our last meeting, which is held on 26th of June in Morgan. Would somebody like to move that we confirm those minutes? So. But Kevin, and seconded by Les. All those in favour of confirming those minutes of those that are there. Thank you. Number 5, a declaration of interest. Is there anybody who needs to mention a declaration of interest of anything relevant to today's agenda? No. There are no deputations. So we'll go directly to item 7. Discovery Centre and Vessel Report, which I'll hand over to Glenn, if you'd like to take us through it.
Sure. So for the 2 months, June and July, visitor numbers remain steady. Obviously, the Discovery Centre numbers remain steady. We did see a slight downturn in previous months and on year-to-year average, which we're considering has been a petrol pricing impact. We've certainly noticed a reduction in numbers of RB travellers compared to previous years. But interestingly, Western Australians still remain a high number of visitation and travelling around. But yeah, overall numbers are definitely down, and people have mentioned that petrol prices have been a big consideration. We've also had quite a number of people coming down from the Flinders Ranges due to inclement weather activity and the fear of being trapped by roads disappearing into the distance. The Mayflower is obviously back in full operation and she's doing very well. We've had a couple of minor technical hiccups after the replacement of the engine, but overall she's been steady in performance. Main thing that's kept her off the water has been severe weather days and captain's call on safety of travel and vessel return in relation to that. And for the first time this coming October, we're going to trial public holiday Monday cruises on the Mayflower for two reasons. One, it falls in the middle of the school holidays. And the second reason is in the 4 years that I've been back and forth to Maritime working the Visitor Information Centre, you get a large number of people in on Monday, you tell them you're cruising on Tuesday and they go, that's great, I'm going home this afternoon, so it's not much good to me. We will try and continue with the Tuesday standard cruises because of the school holidays, and I'll report back on how that goes. The PS Marion, and in my time, this is the most usage I've seen of the PS Marion, and it's great to see the number of people going on cruises, the number of weekend cruises. Rockford cruises finished last weekend with only 3 this year compared to 4 in previous years, but we're back to 4 next year. No major issues on the Marion that I'm aware of. You, Warren?
No, it's going well.
Yeah, and it's just really good to see her out there again, and we'll obviously discuss the upcoming slipping of the Marion, which was delayed in 2023 by the floods. She was last slipped in 2024 and needs to be slipped twice under AMSA regulations every 5 years, so she's due for slipping again now. We're in the last week of the Arnold Gallery hosting the Maritime Community College Sala event, and it's been good to see that area active again. I was in Morgan yesterday, and the Women of the River will return to active placement in the gallery in the next few weeks when it's removed from Morgan and brought back. And we're starting to work already on next year's Sala event for the gallery, so there's already been an expression of interest there. Other than that, it's been business as usual for boats, for working groups, and for the Discovery Centre, the museum. And I'll continue to try and make improvements in those areas as long as I'm in the chair.
Questions or comments for Glenn?
I've got just a comment, not a question. You mentioned the Women of the River.
Yes.
Australian Maritime Museum Council in Sydney have lots and lots of travelling road shows if you ever want to get your hands on them.
Yep.
I'll get a list. And
are any of them humidity controlled or any climate? That's the only thing. We're not a climate controlled museum space, but yeah, be more than happy to look into that. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
I have a little bit of a list. I won't apologise in advance. You just mentioned that Marion's fully booked. It's not fully booked at 18. It's only fully booked at 24. So with the RV travel and the stuff, is that how do you log the RV travel?
We ask people where they come in from, how they've got here, where they're staying, particularly if they're staying at the caravan or a park or across the river. We find out what their mode of transport is.
And is that comparable? Is that happening in other regions? So
every visitor information centre makes the documents that detail on an ongoing basis.
And then on the impact paragraph, the reductions will likely see an increase in top. Not sure what we were hoping on. Revenue?
We actually are seeing more spending.
Right, okay.
And I think that's because of the limited stops that people are making. So they're maximising their spend in region and their stays are longer.
Yeah.
Most people are 1 to 2 days. At the moment, we're seeing people say 3 to 4 days. And the biggest indicator of that is asking when the Mayflower and or Marion are cruising.
Yes.
And because we cruise every few days, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, we're finding people are actually in the area. And thankfully, because of the RV parking in Arnold Park car park, which is really hard to say sometimes, a lot of them look at the checkout time, but we've managed to keep them on site. Some will do the 10:30 cruise checkout early from the Big Four park there. So that parking is a big draw card for keeping people in the area, and then they'll stay on, have lunch, come back and do the museum afterwards.
There's no RV parking at Marianne, is there? At the other reserve. Okay, interesting. And just a bit more detail on the retail review of the VIC.
We've got a new staff member in with a strong retail background. Admittedly, it's in pet food and pet supplies, but Kamika's been looking over the pricing, our markup, and we're also looking at what the PS Oscar W sell and trying to include more boat-related items and ramp up that aspect. And we've also got newly designed collector's coins that will be coming in the next few weeks of the 3 boats, which have been designed by Maritime wholesalers, because a lot of people are asking for boat-related items. So there's a low cost and good markup and good desire for that. We even recently had a license plate magnet with Murray River on it, and we sold out in a matter of weeks with those. So smaller items are really a big draw card for people because obviously they've got limited space.
Yep.
So we are trying to change the stock control, and we've relocated all of this. There was a stock shelf in the middle of the brochure area. We've moved that back down towards the front door end, and we're seeing an increase in what was on that shelf being picked up because it's not impacting people who are looking for brochures. So it's opening up that space a lot more too.
And which may mean we could look at the retail spaces on the boats.
Correct.
As I noticed, Marion, we often on bar tab day, we'll sell a few pieces. Thank you. Anything else?
Can I just ask you a question, Glenn? Just we talk about the Marion, and because Andrew brought a point up, is when a group hires the boat, that's not per cabin, is it?
No, it's a standing fee.
So people have got to be clear on when you're doing a weekend escape, that's for everybody. So it's per cabin where you get your money from. Whereas this charge, I think we're doing the weekend one in a week's time. I think there's only 15 or 16 people, but that's not the money it's actually the boat that they hire. So that's
it's not a per cabin
like a difference.
It's a whole boat booking. Correct.
Yeah.
So that's a good point with me criticising 18.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. It's just
and I think the capacity depends on whether, like Rockford's bring their own crew for catering and service purposes, so that increases the capacity for cabining more people. Whereas if we've got staff as well as boat crew,
Rockford, if we had to, we could take 28 passengers.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
but then we don't have many crew. Mm-hmm. We're all running around like idiots, but that's what we get paid for.
So I think I've had a bit of a conversation with Glenn about we've never actually worked out the tipping points. So like on a charter, there's a set charter fee, I think $4,500 a day or thereabouts at the moment. But then once you bring in individual passengers, how do you get to that point once you take off feeding them, feeding the crew, and all the other things? And that's never actually been exactly worked out as to at what point does a weekend escape run to, well, we can't say profit, but does that become favourable as opposed to, is that 12 passengers or is that 20 passengers?
The sound's going to affect the canal, not to the extreme of overnights, but do you charter the boat out when you go up to Northwestern, or do you do it individually?
We're already having that. It's not really a problem. It's the way people perceive it. Like we've had one gentleman ring up and he wants to take his Model T Ford Club. And then first of all, he thought $2,500 or $2,400 for the day. And he can take 60 people. My club's only got 30. So we'll go with the 2-hour cruise, which is $80. So when you start doing the sums, he's losing out because he can have the whole boat. He can take his 30 members, plus they can all bring their partners virtually free. But when you say $80 and then the next figure's $2,500, and they shy off at the big number, not realising they've got that boat for the whole day, like 6 hours. So, yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's education.
Yes, and their marketing.
Mm.
So, okay, there's nothing more on 7.1. Liz?
Quick one, Glenn. What's the activity of the Discovery Centre subcommittee group, working group?
At the moment, it's non-existent. A number of members have been off-site. So, and I've only been in the job 3 weeks, so I'm looking to reactivate that. But I did have Phil Mack come in last week, so there'll be a changeover of the current laminated signage to wood burn etching signage next week. So we are now heading back into active duty to revamp and redesign and move forward. But nothing had happened during Steve's time for quite a while I was aware of.
There were a couple of meetings when Steve was there, but yeah, it was
I believe things were postponed.
the flexibility of the members, but I'm on that, so I'm just a bit concerned to see that it's back into gear.
Me too. Yeah, it's definitely on my list.
So I'll give you a call.
Okay, that'd be
Okay,
good.
thank you. Would somebody like to move that we accept that report? Warren, second. Kevin, in favour. Unanimous. Thank you, folks. Before we move on to 7.2, I realised that where's Di Horsler?
No.
That's a good point.
Got to work out.
How the hell are you going to forget that?
How could you forget Di? Okay. I think we perhaps probably need to put Di in as an apology, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to her for a few weeks, so she's obviously not here. Are you still there, Jen?
I'm just going for coffee.
You got a red dot.
Yes, she is. Okay, so folks, 7.2, Manham Operations Group, the MOGs, in Katrina's absence. I'm going to have to call on you again, Glenn.
So my first week in the job, I had the opportunity to sit in on the MOGS meeting. As discussed, the Marion is scheduled for slipping, departing on Monday the 14th to head to Goolwa. No advancements on the wood conveyor side of things. Obviously, the wharf redevelopment is playing into that with structural engineering aspects and impacting on installation. So hopefully we'll see that sooner rather than later. A discussion was held around the option of putting some sort of carpeting, probably carpet squares, into the cabins. We're still waiting for Carpet Court Murray Bridge to come back to us and confirm that they'll come this great distance from Murray Bridge to Manham to have a look. You'd think the offer of money would be a draw card, but not at this point. The Marion wooden paddle box slats are in need of replacement, and there has been discussion about volunteers undertaking that installation. Not sure where that's at the moment, do you, Warren? They were going to measure the slats first, weren't they?
Yeah, well, Geordie's, as soon as he can get a really good price down in Goolwa, or wherever he gets, because they're doing the opposite side. They've got to do the springboard. It's quite a big job. They've got to take the paddle box off them to replace all this. So on the, let me think about it, which way are we facing? On the port side, one side's going to look really smart. The other side's going to look not so smart. So we thought, why don't we measure it all up? And we could prepare and we can do it all outside, alongside when the boat comes back to Manham. So yeah, it's just a matter of measuring up. I'll see about on Tuesday. Yeah. And going ahead with that. But we could do that work. It doesn't have to be done down on the slip.
They're better than me.
Oh well, it's a bit cheaper as well.
You'll know soon.
We have put a call out for Marion crew to attend the 2027 Wooden Boat Festival, and we've had a trickle of interest so far. As you normally do this time of year, the call goes out and silence returns, but we do have a couple of active crew members who have been put forward for that. On the filming front, so Rick Cavagian's doing quite a bit of filming across both the Marion and the Mayflower. He was here a couple of weeks ago doing some drone footage of the Mayflower. Those of you who have seen the Swan Reach Observatory poster with the Mayflower dead centre in the bottom section of that poster, Rick's looking to bring that poster to life in cinematic form. So that's what the drone footage was for. And then over the next few weekends in September and November, after the 2-hour cruising days, he's also going to do some mild to large scale filming of the Marion for a promotional film for the observatory, and he has confirmed we'll have access to that footage as well. So the September footage will be more on deck, wheelhouse based. The November footage, he's put in an expression for people to attend in November through the Man and Mag to take part in the filming, because he needs about 200 people and a brass band. So we will hopefully see quite a number of people over that period. And as I mentioned, the cruises have been going ahead. The only weekend cruise that didn't occur was the August weekend cruise, because in a perfect storm, all three of our engineers had other engagements, and so we were unable to take her out at that time. We only had one cancellation from the bookings that we had at that time. Everybody else either moved to different 2-hour cruise days, or in one case, a group moved to the Mayflower for that event. So that was okay. And weekend escapes were very positive and very lucrative across the bar in the case of our most recent event, which was great. And as of
$5 in the first 2 hours, pretty good.
Yeah,
that I didn't hear. I had the overall total, not the timing specifics.
Yeah, good damage.
And our new vessel maintenance and operations coordinator will begin Monday week, which will be a great benefit to all volunteers, staff and the boats. And Doug will work across both locations. So I've just got to work out with him what days he'll be down in Morgan, but hopefully, like me, it'll be 1 day a week down in Morgan, and as required otherwise. But I try to get down there.
Mountain based.
He is, yes, lives on the other side of the river. So
thank you. Glenn, any questions or comments on 7.2? Please.
Through you, Andrew, Glenn, is there any formal arrangement between Rick and the access to film we can get, or is it just a handshake, or you don't know?
it's basically a handshake. Yep. We timed it around those 2-hour cruises so that we didn't have to steam her up independently. So we have attached it to existing movements, and Katrina's been working with Rick on the timing of that.
Yeah, but just knowing Rick, some of that footage will be good, even if it's rough cut stuff.
No, he has written to me and confirmed that we will have access to all of that footage, which will be excellent for promotional purposes.
Would somebody like to move? We accept 7.2. Need a hand. Simone, are you allowed to? I thought you were ex-officio. I didn't know if you're allowed to do that. So Simone, second. Warren, in favour. Thank you. 7.3. I don't know. Would you like to deliver this? Perhaps you could have Kevin could sing the chorus. 7.3 is Morgan Landseer Museum update report. Coming to you from Glenn.
Well, actually, Kevin, you're probably in a better position to discuss the visitor activity in terms of where it sits from in relation to previous activity, considering I've only been here.
I think visitor numbers are down right around, except for probably the Murray Princess and the Proud Mary. They look like their visitor numbers are a bit static. Maybe the Princess is down a bit, but having them come into port, and they were actually in port together at one stage, and that puts a lot of people. The main problem we do have with that is not having our bus because it's down here. So makes it hard to transport people around.
Have raised that. We are looking into the options for that.
Yeah. So I don't know, are you up to speed on this mural? Or?
Yes. So the cases have been ordered, discussions taken place between Design Case and Teresa in relation to the colour of the trim and so forth. They're on order and expected in the coming weeks. We just need to organise a scissor lift for installation purposes because they'll need to be secured to the wall to ensure that they don't move. But hopefully before the end of October, we should have them in situ, I believe.
There'll need to be a lot of stuff moved around to make the space for them.
Correct.
And I think we can probably get the involvement of the prisoners from the training centre to come over and do all the hard lifting.
Good to me.
Yeah.
With regard to the Riverboat Hall of Fame future concept, I'm sure this is something that will fall into Andrew's CEO purview in terms of shovel-ready projects and the like, should the opportunity arise. But we're all, as always, we're looking for opportunities to develop those. And funding at the moment, I think we'd probably all agree, is the lowest it's been in terms of availability. And like Andrew, it's that necessity of being shovel ready to be able to pursue those because the turnaround time's shorter than it's ever been as well. Obviously, from a future funding and development perspective, signage, marketing activities and so forth are a big part of what I'm looking at and working through with Rhiannon and Teresa, and I could not be happier with the support that I'm getting from them and the team here in Manham as well. They are great to work with, and one of probably the most surprising thing for them and kind of for me was on my first day, and Morgan, Teresa said, "Now, have you got any questions for us?" And I said, "Yeah, what can I do for you?" And she kind of looked at me like I just said it in gibberish. So I'm fully open to receiving whatever proposals or suggestions come through and doing whatever I can to realise them.
Andrew, in regard to the Hall of Fame, Glenn, you may not have caught up with the fact that we got quite a hefty document produced with the assistance of the Maritime Museum and Dr. Forget his so that in regard to what happens there, what's the plan? Because I'm sure the enthusiasm for a concept like this is 100%, but the plan, what you're doing when you propose to do it, is also important, and that opens the door for all sorts of things, like, for example, the riverboat display here at Manham seems to me to be logical in terms of it should be transferred to Morgan, because that's the core of what it's all about. Is there any further discussions on that? I know it was discussed earlier on.
Not at this stage, but I'd be open to any.
I mean, the essence of these kind of displays in an interpretive sense is rolling displays and planning and moving things around and creating market interest on a pretty, regular basis. That opens the door, of course, what we do here, if that was to go there, which fits perfectly with what the Maritime Museum's proposal was. The riverboat rail concept was the one that Morgan should grab hold of, because that's solid in terms of marketing and its reality. So, yeah, I think forward planning in that sense, that's what I'm talking about, is critical. Because
the planning stopped when the document was shelved.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Well, stuff like that will be driven by locals. It's local enthusiasm that keep that stuff going. I think it's a subject that should go on the Manham Dock Discovery agenda as well, because logically, if the models and that shift to Morgan say, then what do you put in that space? Now, I've got thoughts about that myself, but I'd like to hear them with the committee and etc. and bring it all together in some sort of structured plan. So when you go for funding one day, then the source of funding, let's suggest it's Maritime Museum probably will be, they'll want a plan. they'll want to know exactly what you propose to do and when and how much it's going to cost. You know, an application for funding just falls flat unless you give them that detail. So I think it's critical to pick this up, buoyed along by the local enthusiasm at both Morgan and here, I'm sure, to turn this into something really good. But a plan is essential rather than just ad hocry.
Yeah, Bailey, did you?
I just wanted to say, on record, congratulations on the Windows in Time mural showcase. I think from the day I started, I've had lots of meetings about this, so it's exciting to see it come to fruition.
I'm following on from what you're saying, Les. I agree, because again, we're in silos. There's the Riverboat Hall of Fame. I think probably if we dig deep enough in the shelves, we'd find the proposal to put a roof over the dry dock. I mean, there's a room full of proposals and plans with which have all fallen over for various reasons, and that probably those plans happened prior to the Morgan Committee and the Manham before my time, but those committees being amalgamated.
Both concepts, the dry dock and Lansing building, actually landed at the same time.
Right, okay.
From a council point of view, was where do you get this amount of money from?
Yeah, I think, well, it was I remember seeing 5.3 million on the Hall of Fame, wasn't it? 9 years ago? Oh, yeah, it was a lot. I think where we are now is that the overall plan begins with tranche 2. So we have sustainability driven by ACOSA, tranche 2, which, because tranche 1 only looked at boats, tranche 2 looks at VICs, museums, maritime precincts. That's where it starts. And then we build from there, I think. Yeah.
Well, I think the word planning underscores all of it.
Yeah. So,
and the plan's got to be solid, bulletproof in terms of what we're proposing, whether it be to council or to Maritime Museum or the like for funding. Unless it is well thought out and realistic, then you don't even stand a chance. Well, it'll trip over at council. I guarantee it, unless it's bulletproof, or as bulletproof as it could be. Agreed.
If I can say from my very early views on some of the maritime opportunities that we have, I was going to mention it when we get down to 7.5, but I didn't pull the second tranche sustainability report from this meeting because I didn't think it had enough information for my mind to highlight what the priorities are going forward, what the costs and opportunities are, as well as obviously looking at risk and some of the other opportunities, because I'm keen to, within a very short space of time, given I think this is week 3 and week 4 for Glenn. Although I think we've worked together for 3 years in another lifetime, so it's handy having someone who gets how I think and vice versa. But try and work out what the priorities are of council and therefore what grant opportunities we can go for and what our priorities should be in those regards. Because there's obviously a lot of opportunities for upgrade both Manham and Morgan, the boats themselves. There's also some inherent risk involved with them and financial exposure to council. I didn't think the tranche 2 report that I got necessarily captured that and didn't necessarily provide a clear direction forward. So I'm keen to work with this group and obviously with council on what are other priorities going forward. So we can get on the advocacy path and hammer some of the opportunities that do come up. Noting that council obviously have taken the opportunity to get its own house in order financially first to allow it an opportunity to eventually take future opportunities. So I think, certainly on my agenda as to what we do in the tourism and visitor space and how we can maximise what we do.
Anything else on 7?
I just mentioned, I don't know if I bring this up in other business, so I'll bring it up now because it involves both the Canali and the Marion. Would I do it now or it's to do with captains? Will I bring that up later or?
Perhaps you can make a note and just, because I've got 3 things that we need to cover it sort of at the end of the.
Do it at the end?
Yep. So,
no, that's fine.
Yep. There, just finally on that point, which I raised informally with Andrew this morning, is currently Mid-Murray Tourism, there's a Mid-Murray Tourism Precinct planning project underway. And I don't know whether I'm missing something, but there's no mention of a maritime heritage within that. And I'm trying not to get angry, but we talk about the outcomes are a cultural mapping assessment report, a river corridor tourism master plan, a township master plan, a Marion waterfall master plan, and a dark sky astro tourism plan. But there's very little mention of either any of our maritime precincts. So I've just raised that with Andrew and with Glenn that perhaps the consultants might want to talk to the committee. I did raise with Steve Callery before he left that tranche 1 actually go through to whoever's looking after it within council, because it just seems to be, I don't think we're big enough to have silos, and I don't understand why. We've said ourselves in tranche 1 that the economic benefit of our boats is 1.225 million. We've got 15,000 hours of volunteer time valued at $708,000. But that's not mentioned in a tourism master plan. I don't get it. So I'm hoping we can get it. Anything else on 7 points?
I just like to support what you've said. It's 100% right. I mean, everything we do is underpinned by that word, tourism planning. So we as a committee, in my view, need to be 100% up to date with that and the ability to comment where necessary on it, because it means everything to the fact that we're going to get bums in seats. That's what it's all about. You can wash it any which way you like. But unless you get bums in seats, game over.
Through the chair, that project was grant funded, so they're the things we have to tick. I would have thought it would have fallen in the river corridor one, and the feedback has been open to everyone in the public. Whether we just haven't linked enough to this committee, the project I think is still open. So yeah, let people know so that we can make sure.
Yeah, well, because I found it by accident on the website. So I don't think any of the rest of the committee was aware of it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I didn't until you told me.
Yeah. So I mean, oh, what's this? So it was not too late. Yeah, I think whether we can talk to whoever's looking after it within council, or now Glenn's in the chair. I think it would be really good to sit down and just for them to we just mount our case beyond what has been already written in tranche 1, and let's bring it together. Anything else on 7.3? In that case, I'll ask for a mover. Kevin, a shaker. Les, in favour. Unanimous. Thank you. Jen, are you still with us? Just checking. I can see your name on the screen.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. You can't put your hand up, so you can't. Perhaps I'll offer it to you. Okay, 7. Where are we? We're at 7.4. Might have to be Glenn again.
You see him properly. Obviously, again, my first meeting with the Canali Operations Group. Very exciting to see a boat so recently returned to water activity has a strong cruising and charter schedule for the rest of this year. And we began discussions at that meeting around the 2027 cruising schedule. Obviously, the same applies with the Marion. Mayflower is pretty much set in stone. The other very exciting thing is the educational interest from school groups. We've currently, as you can see, got one school group, or number of schools coming in as one group. I've already approached the Department of Education, the Independent Education Office and the Catholic Education Office. It's been listed, all three boats. I've made sure we're listed on all sites. The Independent Education Office will release it in a newsletter in the next few weeks. It automatically gets listed on the Department of Education site as an active listing. Still trying to get a response from Catholic Education, so that may come down to a direct-to-school approach. And the other thing that Teresa has ensured is we've made inquiries with BCF to increase the volume of child life jackets so that we know we've got sufficient amount at a time when they were on a 2-for-1 sale. That priority, so that I should have those in the next week. We were just waiting for supply to come in. Even though it was after the sale date, they did agree to honour the financial agreement, in spite of the fact they heard the word council when we told them where they would be going to. So there were no added zeros or no, you can't have it. So once they're available, I'll go and collect those and get those onto the boat. So very excited to see that there is that level of interest. And I've also got the Yankalilla Area School coming in the next few weeks with 9 students who are doing a tourism study. They are going out on the Mayflower for an afternoon cruise. They're meeting with myself, Kelly Kuhn, and hopefully Manham Houseboats just to talk about the impact of the floods. Terrifyingly, they want to hark back to talking about the impact of COVID. So, but just to get an idea of the different the different styles of impact and how that affects tourism businesses, where have things gone since then, what was the overall impact, what has been the return aspect. And on that as well, Mayor Bailey and I will be meeting with Andrew Costello in the coming weeks to do a promotion, which again focused around flood impact, return to active duty and what people can do to support us. So from that perspective, I think, the Canally's in a very positive position considering how long she was in dry dock, as it were, and in restoration. And restorations are still progressing to improve facilities on board. But she looks a beauty, in my opinion. Anything from your end of things?
The only thing we have been doing with cruising, and it'll continue this weekend, we're experimenting with times. Because like June, we sort of thought 10 o'clock and would get 3 one-hour cruises in the day. Well, we weren't taking into account people leaving Adelaide. They probably got to get out of bed and leave by 6 o'clock, coffee on the way or whatever. So we've moved cruises to 11 o'clock. A lot of people were making the comment that the 1 hour out of Morgan wasn't enough, because you were getting back tying up and they're going, oh, is that all? So this weekend we're doing 4 2-hour cruises just to test it out. The only way you're going to find out is the, trial and error. So
that's what we've done on the Marion.
Yeah.
It's been 100% successful.
And yet in Renmark, they tried 2-hour cruises and it wasn't good. They went back to 1 hour. So
it's worked for us. Yeah,
And next week, we're doing our first private charter of 50 people. On the 5th of September.
I'll just ask you a quick question now, Kevin.
Yes.
I think it's brilliant what you're doing with the kids. The educational school, is that book free? Is it free for them? Or
So they're paying the $20.
Yeah.
But apparently all schools have a excursion funds and all like that. But one thing I did, like Glenn was there when I suggested it the other day, was having a handful of free tickets. And when the kids leave the boat, say, well, here's a free ticket for you. As long as you bring mum and dad paying, when next time you come back.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to trial that and see what pans out.
How long until you can feed and water people on a 2-hour cruise?
Says we've finished the galley, so which the stove's in, but
So, because like 2 hours is a fair chunk of time to have somebody out with that big give them a bottle of water.
yeah, it really depends on what you're doing. Like 2-hour cruises, we might be taking them up to Norwest Bend, maybe dropping them off.
Yeah.
The owners of Norwest Bend have agreed that if we take people up there, while we're waiting, they've got no objection to us running a 1-hour cruise out of their property.
Yeah.
For people that are already on site.
Yeah, that's the Oscar W model.
Yeah. So
Excellent. Glenn.
And the local business and sponsorship event, point 3, was an idea that was raised by Steve in his time here. I picked that up and assisted Teresa in formalising the package, the invitation. We got it out to as many people as possible. She went to local businesses as well as those further beyond. There hasn't been a high level of uptake, unsurprisingly. Andrew and I have already discussed this side of things in terms of, without it being an independently incorporated organisation with DGR status, there's less likelihood that people are going to be as forthcoming. So it's probably something that does have legs in the future once alternate funding support models of that type have been further developed. Having come from Port Augusta City Council, where the Australian Arid Lands Botanic Gardens has had a friends group for 30 years, that donor grant recipient status does actually carry a lot of weight, even in terms of smaller donations. So I'm not expecting that event will actually go ahead, but it's good to know that people are aware of it.
Okay, so that was my question: is what are you selling them? Like, you're getting them in for a drink and look at the boat, like,
and cruise.
Yeah, what are they getting, and how, and are they and are they going to want to stick their signs all over the boat, which is obvious.
No.
Like Oscar, which is awful.
Yeah.
The
The events coordinator and one of the finance team from Perks Hotels, who've recently acquired both hotels in Morgan, came in yesterday to introduce themselves to Rhiannon and I, and they're keen to be made aware of what the Canally is doing and what other opportunities will be available. I've known Brad Perks for about 30 years, savvy businessman. So to have them actively come to us and say, can you let us know what we're doing? We'll plug it through our hotels and make sure that all of our hotels are aware of what's going on, is a really positive benefit as well.
Yeah. I think the low-hanging fruit is corporate hire it for your Christmas party, which we managed to do with the marrying with a IT company in Adelaide. They just took it for the afternoon last year.
Yeah. I've actually just signed us up for Business Events Adelaide membership as well. So that's live on their website too.
And we've got Morgan Caravan Park. If you show your ticket to them, they give you 10% off.
And Teresa, Rhiannon and I are working on the entrance signage as well. I've been in touch with John Plott from National Safety Products, who I've dealt with a few times over the last few years in sign development. John and his team are great to work with, from design to production to delivery. So,
can you expand on that? What you mean by entrance signs?
So the curved signs at the entrance points of Morgan currently look a bit
Where
like
they normally hang, it's time to register
your dog and...
Yeah,
so they look a bit like a scorched marshmallow at the moment. And it also says home of the restoration, rather than being an active sign for the Canally cruising. So they'll be replaced in the coming months as we look at designs.
Passenger numbers, looking for?
They're slowly building. I think it's one of those... Again, it's one of those things that, the number of people on the road. I had a gentleman who is part of a Victorian fruit fly network. Try saying that with your teeth in. And he's doing a road trip at the moment. And when he found out that the Canali was on water this weekend, he said, right, I need to try and time my return journey to be part of that. We are getting a lot of walk-in inquiries as to when it's cruising and where people can stay. We inquire about how far up the river they may be heading or whether they're staying in town. So we are seeing that gradual build, but it seems to be the Sunday afternoon cruise is the last one to take up numbers. And in typical South Australian buy a ticket fashion, doesn't matter whether it's a major concert or a boat cruise, people leave it till the last minute to do their bookings and so forth. So,
but we have promotions happening beyond Facebook and those initiatives.
I'm working with Steve Davis from Talks About Marketing to improve that. I think we'd all agree Facebook is not really the marketing network that it once was. So Steve's working on alternative, more visual methods. Instagram. I mean, to be honest, Instagram and TikTok are your two most active viral messaging systems. And as Kevin said, getting students on board and then encouraging them to bring their parents or grandparents with them, that word of mouth spread will be a large aspect of that too. But we definitely need to move away from reliance on Facebook as the be-all and end-all. It's a good communication tool between the wooden boat community, but beyond that, it's probably not as strong as it once was.
Even the Mid-Murray, Explore Mid-Murray app, I think that it's very hard to get your teeth around, if you know what I mean. You go into it and it takes you forever to find where you're going. And I don't know whether that can be simple. Simple?
Yeah, one of the things that Steve asked me to do when I first came back a few months ago was to look over it, and I handed him basically 4 pages, 3 of which said get rid of this, and this, because it's the same thing on every page, and if you're doing it off a phone, if it's taking too long to download, you'll either give up or you'll delete the app or you'll move on. So, definitely a driver of mine is to simplify it to make it more effective.
With the elderly people that are still struggling with phones, they're going to give up real quick.
Well, they're not alone there either.
I've said it a few times to Andy that all of our local newspapers and radio stations are always looking for fillers. So if you give them the detail, they'll do free stuff for you or have you on for an interview or things like that. So I think
ABC Riverland are going to be in Morgan next Tuesday. And Teresa rang me yesterday, and so I'll be in Morgan
if
they'd like. And I immediately contacted Andrew to get his permission to put my ugly mug on. Ugly mugs.
Particularly with Canali, because I think from talking to Di a long time back, your original idea was to actually, in Canali's early days, is to advertise regionally. So you're over the hump of driving from Adelaide, and there's we always see that on Marion. It's more of the people that come on the boat are locals and country and as far as the peninsula, but less Adelaide. It's easier to break into that. Can I also suggest? It does my head in that we don't manage to network the boats. So why aren't there brochures for the Marion on the Oscar booking desk and the industry booking desk? You go into the Galway Visitor Information Centre and they don't know what the Marion is 2 weeks before it's coming to Galway for the Wooden Boat Festival, and you just want to go out and bash your head against the concrete. Can we just and it's reciprocal, because people who come, we're going to Galway, go on this boat, and come on ours because they're all different. And I'll stop preaching in a minute. To particularly in the lead up to the Wooden Boat Festival, get on the phone to Mark Harvey, who's the chair of the 41 committee for the Wooden Boat Festival, and say, can we start talking about stuff now rather than last festival 2 weeks out? We were trying to work out who was cruising when and whether the wharfs were high enough to actually for the day cruises. Because if we're taking 3 boats to Wooden Boat Festival, there's 4 boats which are going to be wanting to do 1 hour cruises off the Galway Wharf, which if it's windy is pretty interesting. Sorry, I'll end the sermon there. Is there anything else on 7.4?
Just to add on what you were just saying, we had a discussion the other day, Nally meeting, something Sarah might pick up is having a brochure thing on the industry, Oscar, and all the boats with everybody's brochures on it. So if you want to do the whole trail, you know, end of the month is when Canali goes, beginning of the month is when industry goes, and
It's a great initiative.
but everybody's got to put the input in,
Yeah.
you know, for us to get the outcome.
Yes.
At risk of prolonging your statement before, what comments, if any, are in this report that has been formulated at the moment about tourism and all of the aspects that we haven't seen that we want to be involved in? What comments have they got about overall marketing activities and the modern use of things like Facebook, which seems to be dying on the vine?
So you're talking about the precinct planning project? I don't think it extends to that. I think it is actually more about building regional communities, and it's more biased towards infrastructure from my reading of it. I don't know if you've got, Andrew.
I must admit, I'm still waiting to catch up with the consultant who's doing that. Yes, there is a lot of infrastructure coming out of that will support communities and enhance their facilities, which by natural translation, they will also assist in tourism. But how we tie it all together, promotion, I'm not entirely sure of at this point in time.
Yeah.
Not
I
sure if
think
the mayor.
the idea of it was, like, I had a chat to Senator Don Farrell when he was over, and he came out on a dark sky tour and he said, "This is amazing. Like, how do you make it more?" And I said, like, our council is so minimised in resources that we don't even have a planning project to have things shovel ready and things like this. So the roof that you talk about on the dry dock, that should be in there. So it's basically, we got some money to do this project so that then we've got other projects to do later on and we're shovel ready type thing. So yeah, definitely if that work hasn't been done on the river projects that we actually own, we want them in there.
Yeah, all of these discussions seem to fall short when we get to the how do we promote our product line. They've all been formulated, and we've got great ideas on infrastructure and product and stuff like that. But it's the mousetrap syndrome. Unless we can get bums on seats, we're dead. And how do we do that? What is the best way to achieve that? Ben says Facebook's on the out, and it's probably correct. If Instagram's the new way we should go, or should it be radio advertising, or what should it be? What should be the mediums that we're trying to capture? Because right now we seem to be skirting around that, and we fall short when it comes to the fact that here's our marketing document, here's what we're going to do, and we all sign off. How we get such a document, I think I know, but the fact is we need one.
When do you have a
One of the points from a marketing perspective that Steve raised was actually Fair Harbour as a booking system is okay, but it doesn't go beyond being a booking system. So one of his recommendations was moving to Resti, which is what the PS Oscar W uses. I registered yesterday and they've already come back to me and said, "Oh, it's great to have you on board. Here, have a look at this." And so I've got to actually look at that because they do branded marketing within their booking system as well. And yeah, I'm open to whatever options, particularly visiting friends and family. I think that's a massive one, particularly for the holiday periods.
Yeah,
We've had this conversation so many thousands of times before, Andrew.
we've never really resolved what we're going to do about it.
But I don't think there's a silver bullet, and I think it's about building that momentum. So I think we'll discuss a number of options here that from your social media to radio to a couple of the other facilities around the place. I think it's getting the product right and then trying a bit of everything. So we are doing COSI. We are getting the name out across a broader cross section. I don't think there's a silver bullet saying put all your chips on radio or on anything. I think it's about just building that momentum, getting bums on seats. There might be a few promotions that we might need to consider, but it is looking through the various options that are there, because I don't think one's going to necessarily do it. It's a matter of trying what's going to get the biggest impact and be prepared to do a bit of trial and error.
Look, I think you're right. I wouldn't suggest for a moment that any one thing is the silver bullet. It's a combination of how we do it, how we plan to get our message into the market. And whichever way you cut the mustard, 90% of our market's just 100 k's up the road, down the road.
We risk getting into all that operational stuff that we get to at this committee, but from my experience, there's the plan at the top and there's the basics at the bottom. We don't even do the bottom at the moment. We have people who come on the boat, who love the boat, or I'm talking about Marion, who say, I can't believe it was so hard to find this, and they were looking for it. We don't email. There's a lot of real basic stuff that we don't do. My only positive I can put towards that, apologising, speaking on your behalf, is we've got another person on the team now, which is going to take a heap of the workload, which I'm hoping will allow the other parts of the team to actually do marketing stuff. Like actually email people who have been with us before saying, come again. We don't harvest any of that.
The logical question in all of this would be, ask the marketing committee.
Well, let's have another committee. We're not a marketing committee.
Let's ask the marketing committee, because their responsibility is to market our products. I'm being silly. There is no marketing committee. That's the point I'm making.
Yes. Yeah, well, there is no marketing.
There is a manager.
Yes.
Well, who's your boy?
And we've beaten 2 to death in the last 3 years. We've got a third one to go for.
Just about this. It's one of the points I was going to bring up at the end, but I've been here nearly 9 years. And since the first year I've been here, every year I ask, why haven't we got any signs coming into Manham? You don't even know there's a bloody boat in Manham. There's nothing. Whatever road you come into Manham. 9 years I'm bloody sick of it actually. 9 years I've been asking, why can't we have a bloody sign put up? You've got the birthplace of bloody steamboats, and there's not one indication. And I'm sick of people when I'm down on the Marion coming up to me and saying, I didn't even know this existed. They didn't even know it existed. And they don't find out unless they drive past the bloody thing in Manham. And you're talking about basics. You can't get more basic than a bloody sign as you're driving into the town, you know.
It's not just here, it's the same in Morgan. If you
You've got signs in Morgan, eh?
Yeah, but you come
Have you seen the ones in Renmark? They're on the bloody silos. There's a massive sign. I'm saying for Morgan, signs, absolutely. You need bloody signs.
Well, people come in from Adelaide and they turn at the survey for the simple reason they don't know the river's down the hill.
Yeah.
Exactly, you know. I mean,
why do they come from Adelaide?
Jen, please say something.
I was just going to say that, Kevin's right. They come from Adelaide on the way to Burra or whatever. They go past the roadhouse. They have no idea there's even a river in there, down the bottom there. Have no clue. There's no indication there's a boat. No
Sure,
river.
Glenn's taken this on notice to look into signage.
Nothing.
He's written it down.
with all due respect, it's
river
not
with
there anyway.
an arrow.
9 years.
Yeah.
Can I suggest you go to the Progress Association and talk to them about it? Like if it's about
I
Manham.
don't know whose responsibility it is. Is it the council's? Is it?
The Progress Association has the signage on the way in. That's the Progress Association. So yeah, if you feel passionately about it, I would talk to them.
Well, don't you think it's a
Straight
bit
to
wrong?
council and ask them for funds.
No, they don't. They've got a lot of funds themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I?
The Progress Association.
There's a few things for Glenn to take note of there. I'd like to keep moving because we're burying ourselves on operational stuff, but I think you have been, the signage thing has been heard.
Yes.
I know, but it's not getting anywhere.
I know. Well, 9 years. Look, he's been here 3 weeks. 9 years, 3 weeks.
I'm a volunteer. I'm not bloody paid staff who should be doing this.
There is a cruising sign pointing to the Visitor Information Centre as you come in from the Adelaide sign. It obviously doesn't mention paddle boats, etc. But there is a free sign there. Probably be improved. I'm coming in that way every day. I have noticed it.
With all due respect, just drive into the entrances to Renmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big arch. Yeah.
Then you'll notice how it's done properly. Seriously. Anyway.
Thank you. We've noted.
At risk
I'm
risk of being totally facetious, open the marketing plan and read it, because that was written.
Okay, we're moving on. Thank you, folks. Would somebody like to? Oh,
Can I change the subject?
yes, you can.
Page 22, just a technicality in there. I see kind of where it's going, but it's talking about media, and it just says the first instance, all media inquiries or emails should be done to the tourism manager. Glenn did note before he went to the CEO about COSI, but yeah, just a note that they have to go elsewhere.
Sorry, I'm not the.
Carrie will probably explain it. The principal spokesperson is the CEO and the mayor, so they have to go through the CEO before. But it looks to me like the volunteers and whatever need to come to the tourism manager, so then he could do that. So I just wanted to note that he knew that, but he'd already answered my question before it.
Okay, would somebody like to move we accept 7.4 before somebody else shows another? Do I have a mover? Kevin, seconder. Is that a facetious second?
Yeah.
Second, in favour.
Because I know we didn't get any answers.
Carried. No, we'll give Glenn 8 weeks. There's 8 weeks until the next meeting. He will put it on the agenda.
Wow.
7.5. All right, am I on the right spot? Yes, I am. 7.5. Maritime Operations Sustainability Review and General Update. Ben.
Most of this we've actually covered off on in previous discussion, as mentioned, the review of assets. As Andrew said, he and I are both getting our heads around that. The maintenance and operations coordinator starting in the next few weeks will have a positive benefit, and particularly the timing is good as a week after Doug starts, the Marion heads off for slipping. I'm in weekly contact with Steve Davis from Talks About Marketing to review our marketing strategy. And the beautiful thing is Steve hasn't just taken it on as a job. He has identified to me his passionate commitment to the boats. And I'm sure he won't mind me saying on the record, he said for him, this is not about the money, this is about the boats. He really wants to see it taking off. So he's actually dedicating a lot of his time. We are contracting him, obviously, but he does have a passionate commitment to making it work from a developmental perspective in terms of, as you said, like getting bums on seats and bodies on boats, which is great.
Talk to this guy.
The business event Adelaide membership is active, so hopefully we'll start to see some outcomes from that, particularly as we head into the Christmas and New Year period. Andrew has already spoken in regard to tranche 2, and as I mentioned, I'm looking at working with the Dock Discovery Centre working group to see what improvements we can make there, part of which is obviously the shearer vehicle. I've been in touch with Doug Baker and he's been sadly decidedly unwell, but he's on the road to recovery and he's hoping to be in Manham in November. So hopefully we can get that aspect of public access up and running by the end of the year, if not early next year. We'll just see how we go. We've discussed the Explore Mid-Murray website. I'm in complete and wholehearted agreement that it needs an overhaul. It needs to be simplified. There are probably things at the back that need to be at the front and vice versa, and where things are placed to prioritise what's the first captivating image or point of discovery. One of the things that when I first started working in Port Pirie Regional Council under Andrew's CEOship, we had a visitor guide that was 64 pages long that I described as everything you never thought you needed to know. I said, this isn't a hook, this is a lead weight. And the Explore Mid-Murray website's probably the same thing. More information than you're ever going to need, and so much information you go, well, why do I even need to come to you? It's apparently all here. So that simplicity will drive access and accessibility for people. And I also down the track want to look at cross-pollination of some sort of membership or ticketing system. So you go on one boat, how do we get you on all three? And even had, like you've all discussed, how do we get people to move from one end of the river to the other, going from boat to boat, and make sure that networked collaboration is working together, because if people love boats, the more boats you can get them on, the better it's going to be for all of us.
There is something in the air with that. Dave Hartley from the motel, he's been speaking to me about, with Sarah, about developing a trail that will actually go across the border.
Brilliant. That'd be great.
It's just a matter of...
Anything I can do, just ask.
Yeah.
Be happy to then dive into that. So, yeah, as I say, most of it we've already covered off on. I don't think there's anything new or improved in the report that hasn't been openly discussed previously.
Any questions or comments on? There's a fair bit of snapshots there. Oh, no, that's okay, as long as it's not about science.
I feel better now.
I just had on the website, we've got a website, and in less than 2 years we're reviewing it. Let's just bang our heads against the table. The only consolation to all of that enormous amount of information that's sitting on websites that people can't find is AI does the work at the moment. And there's some consolation in that, all that stuff being buried there, because AI will find it. But then when you still have people who come on the boat and say, I didn't know whether I needed to bring my own blankets or not, you go, we have some big communication issues. But that's my equivalent to Warren Science, so I'll leave that one alone. Membership. Yeah, can you tell us a bit more about membership?
I'm thinking, well, basically, that friends model. What do you get out of being a friend? My idea is friends of the Mid-Murray riverboats, rather than it being singularly, and give members the option if they want to generically go with all three boats, or they have a specific focus, tailor it to what the punter wants, to keep them coming back and repeating the experience. And it's similar to what Les is saying about the Dog Discovery Centre. What do you do that's new and different? And Katrina's keen to try and do different styles of cruises to keep people coming. You basically want the level of demand that Rockford Wines has, a waiting list to get onto these experiences, doing them biennially or whatever. So, and having members get a priority, as you do, you get early access to tickets for events. And
500 on the waiting list.
For Rockford. So that's what
500, and what they do, 4 cruises, so they do 100 a year. So they've got a 5-year waiting list for Rockford cruises.
And something that encourages people to be ongoing members based on the benefits they receive from that.
Cool.
They don't have too many plans, so not enough, I think.
Thank you. Anything else on 7.5? I was of the understanding that Marion had GGR, DRG, I always get it the wrong way around, status. But whether that, I don't know how, but somewhere I've read it, whether it disappeared when it went from the Friends to the council.
I would imagine it would have, because if an organisation changes, you've got to reapply for status. So
it'd be worthwhile.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be just on the one boat, but yeah. But it's.
I thought it was always there. It was done by Rob Baring and
I'm sure
Alexander.
Yeah. And then, because I know Rockford would be very interested, and I know Robert O'Callaghan and Pam O'Donnell would be very interested. So, okay. Anything else on 7.5? Can I have a mover? Warren. Les, was that it? Les, second in favour. Thank you. Okay, there'll be a little bit after 7.6, but let's move to financials 7.6 now.
We have the writing hasn't got any bigger.
So,
The reason for that.
would somebody like to take us through that? That might have to be you again, Glenn. Yep.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Well, yeah, we just read it. So,
Got to say, it's earlier on the year, obviously a month in the year, so you wouldn't expect too many transactions there and too much. So there's not a great deal of income, not a great deal of expenditure. Probably the only financial challenge we've got at the moment is the cost of the docking that we're currently working through. It was a bit more expensive than we anticipated, and we're looking at some of the options of how we can fund that.
anything else? So in terms of the additional slipping costs, Glenn, we had a brief discussion yesterday regarding accessing the Rockford Fund for that. So Andrew's up to speed.
Yes.
Yep. So
What was that in regard to?
the
budget for slipping for this year and the quoted costs from Burgers, Simon Huntington, and the slipping. The slipping cost itself has only gone up slightly, but Burgers' quote was well above the previous quote due to the structural undertaking of the beam. So we're looking at a $65,000 difference between what's been internally budgeted and what's required. And I spoke to Geordie, it was the day before yesterday, yeah, because I was here. And I asked him, was there anything that could be postponed? He said that while, yes, it could, his recommendation would be not to do so, because in the event of an incident, if we waited 2.5 years and something occurred, we would definitely be held accountable for questions as to why it wasn't undertaken. And it is major infrastructural hull integrity based activity that's causing the blowout compared to the previous slipping cost.
and Mike Tweedy's in that loop.
Yep. Everybody's been in on it.
So I think the question is, under the terms of the contract with Rockford, there is a pot of money that is within the council funds, which is earmarked for work on the Marion. And I don't know what's in the deed. If it exceeds a particular amount,
there's an agreement to 33% of total slipping costs to a maximum of $40,000, and then an allowance for anything beyond that to be discussed with this committee first and then with Rockford's, with a consideration, this is the exact wording, with a consideration given to a minimum of $10,000 increments. So the first 40,000 is without question. Anything above that needs to be discussed with Rockford's with the express support of this committee.
and so what's the total amount we're
65. I think it's $65,237 off the top of my head.
Does that include Simon's work as well?
Yep. That's Simon's work, slipping, and Geordie's.
If it's full integrity, you've got to do it.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah, that's why I rang Geordie and said,
Yeah.
give it to me straight. And he said, yep, we could, but the risk outweighs the potential for looking at it from that.
I mean, it's very similar to driving an unroadworthy car. I mean, if you do have an accident.
except we've got 60 people on it we're responsible for. Yep. So what we have to do today then, I believe, which we've not done before, is we have to write a brief recommendation, because it's come in after the agenda's gone out, which then Glenn can take to Rockford and say the committee recommends that these additional funds are accessed, and they go, that's cool, and then Rockford say, give us the tick on the money. And Simone, if we can probably do that now. We just need a rapidly written recommendation that we can move and pass. Simone's really good at that.
So the current recommendation is that we are accepting the financial report be received. So we can do a dot point 2.
Yep.
The committee recommends, what do we, funds from?
Recommends
Funds from whatever that account's called.
funds from,
I don't know what it's called.
council funds quarantined.
No, sponsorship account or something
Sponsorship
like that.
from,
Yeah, sponsorship account.
From the
Sponsorship account.
Sponsorship account.
Be approved for use to slip.
Be approved.
Yes, Marion.
For use for Piers Marion slipping on, what's that date? Slipping date 16 September. Yeah.
Or in September,
September
2026.
Okay. So the there's two recommendations then. So there's the recommendation that we accept the financial report for as a part of 7.6, and that the committee recommend funds from the Rockford sponsorship account be approved for use for Piers Marion slipping in September, which then that then allows Glenn to go and talk to Rockford. Would somebody like to move that? Kevin, thank you. Second, Warren. All those in favour? Done. Thank you, folks. So that finalises that one. I just had one comment on the financials. I was just wondering as to why the catering for the Marion is $4,000 over in where are we? 3.3450530. On the first page, overnight catering 4K over budget. How can we be $4,000 over budget on overnight catering in 3 months into the financial year?
Simple, you eat too much.
So it's just a query I don't understand. And also it repeats on the Mayflower line, but I think that's a typo. I just flag it that it's
Yeah, Mayflower line in the actual report says Mayflower short cruises 4K ahead of budget. Oh yeah, no, it does say.
Yeah, so I think that's been copied into the two income and expenditure areas, but I don't understand how we're 4,000 over. The only thing I can think is it's crew feeding at the pub, but I don't know.
$45 a head.
Yeah, there's a lot of 25, and then we try and do less of that now because it's cheaper to feed.
What's that yours on?
Oh, we're on page 1 of 3 in the financial report.
Excuse my ignorance, is that because the income's up because we've had more cruises, so there's been more food?
We'd hire a caterer for that.
That's what James does, or James or Derek feed crew on board, feed passengers and crew on board on a specific, there's a specific daily allowance for food.
I think get Glenn to take that one.
Yeah, I don't think that's just. I just query as to how it's that much. I appreciate what you're saying, Andrew, but I don't think we've had that many.
I don't think we're ever seeing any lobsters or Bollinger on board.
Well, I think we have a
are you confessing to something?
Well, the per person per day allowance is under $20 a day, so I don't know how we got to 4,000.
I will take that on notice and get back.
Yeah. Where are we? 7 points.
So if you look at the end of that, it says offset by catering and housekeeping. So it's not something to do with like the laundry and.
Could be laundry. Don't know. That's the other.
Yeah, the volume of trips to the Tailem Bend.
Yeah, that I've learnt recently.
Yeah, but we're doing our own laundry now.
We are. Yeah, we
just started
only
that,
just
though.
started that, but yeah, I learnt. You could be right, Kevin. I learnt recently that the linen laundry expense is just ferocious. It costs more than feeding people. So, okay, thank you, folks. Warren, I'm just jumping to 8 questions without notice. Warren, you had
I
something.
promise it's not signed.
You can talk about anything except science, Warren.
I think I find it really interesting now. We're all talking about absolutely amazing things and everything's looking really, really good. I'm going to have to put a bit of a dark thing on it because we're down to, for the Marion and the Canali, well, Canali's must be in a better position than the Marion. We're down to 4 skippers, 4 captains. And 2 of those captains are quite heavily involved in the Canali and the, where am I? The Canali and the Oscar down in Goolwa. So we're literally operating on skeleton crew, literally as captains. And none of us are getting, I mean, I'm 70 this year, so God knows how long I've got left. And I think Lee's, what's Lee, about 68, Kevin?
Yeah, it's that
It's a couple of years. And this is the age group we're looking at, and everyone else is older. And if we don't do something about captains, don't worry about all these great plans you got, because the boat's going to be tied up because we ain't going to have any captains. It's as simple as that. And we can go on with all these great plans, but we've got a major, major problem coming up. And the boats are going to get tied up unless we come forward. You know, this is where Rob Bowring and Deb Alexander just could see into the future with the Sierra tickets. That was the whole plan because they could see the writing on the wall, and that's 10 years ago. And and that was quite successful. It got us more skippers for the Mayflower, but not the bigger class of the boats like the Marion and the Canali. Yeah, it's the clock's ticking. I don't know what we can do about it unless. I know Kevin was in touch with the Sydney mob. He had
I've got a response for that. There's Liam, the secretary over there, said he's spoken to Peter Cole, the director of the Sydney Heritage Fleet, who confirms the Heritage Fleet does have a training pathway for masters and mates. And this involves certification with the International Sailing Ship Endorsement Scheme. But it covers all their vessels, not just sailboats. And it says which is useful and fills all the AMSA requirements. So I'm just waiting for this guy to ring me to find out if I can plagiarise his workbook. So whether we can, whether Sarah starts it up again or I don't know what's this new guy, what's Doug supposed to be doing? I did read something about he was going to do something.
Yes, well, the first thing we'll be looking at is obviously maintenance, but yeah, I do believe that training is part of what Doug's actually said he is open and willing to support.
Well, support is different than do.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm not going to go down the path with the Chamber of Inland Rivers and then you've got somebody else doing the... Yeah, and it's just defeating either one or the other's purpose.
I need to find out what his training certification is at. I'd been led to believe he's in the process of completing a Cert 4 training and assessment module, which will allow him to certify that training, which will then allow him to to conduct and certify the training requirements.
You're going to have to find people somehow, unless they've actually got the ticket already, which, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen too often. You're going to have to find people and train them from nothing to be a qualified master for inland waters. That's not going to be cheap. That's going to be the problem again. There's enough people out there interested, but yeah, again, though, you're looking at the older age bracket, you know, because people that are retired or just retiring or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to bring it to notice because it's going to come to a head quite shortly, actually.
I mean, what we've been doing with the canally is, like when Jim comes down here, we get people from Renmark to fill in as mates, like Alan Selth and Mick Polson. And I think Jackson's coming down Saturday.
It's a band-aid treatment, though.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not knocking it because that's what's happening. We really need to look at it quite seriously. And
then you've got the opposite as well. When the industry cruises, quite often Jim and Lee will go up there as well. So
I just wanted to make everyone know it. No, that's all.
That's it. Thank you.
No science.
Only comments over that. To me, it needs to be a CIRA thing because it actually extends beyond in Murray Council.
yeah, it's got to cover all the boats,
And
not just our boats that are.
And I had hoped that CIRA, as it covered a larger area across possibly even 2 states, it would have more clout with AMSA, which is what I think was the intention when Rob and Deb set it up.
Well, it's something we'll have to talk about at CIRA, Kevin, because
Yeah.
is it worth going back to Port Adelaide, you know, that bloke, and see what he can come up with?
But the other thing is, if Doug starts something, are you going to have to register as a training authority?
I'd need to look into.
But so the heritage ticket is still viable for captains. No, that's gone.
It's
Okay.
not heritage.
Somebody's got to reinvent it, either CIRA or whatever Doug's doing. And then Doug's got to have he's being paid by Mid-Murray Council to do a job. So is he going to open up to all the other vessels?
Oh, and as far as I understanding, I don't think that's actually within Doug's job description at the moment, and we only have Doug for 12 months. It's again beyond 12 months. But yeah, so it starts with, is it viable to see if we can recreate the heritage ticket, which is a big deal, and will take a long time and takes a fair bit of clout. Or do we go down the standard route?
I don't think you stand much chance of doing that ticket like it was done because AMSA made it quite clear that it was only for 2 years.
5 years ago.
And they did exemptions just to give us time to convert into their tickets. And
We didn't do.
no, we did. That's why people have got the tickets now.
Okay.
That's all been done, but I can't see it happening again. Can you, Kevin?
Well, you've got a couple of options. Every person who wants to become an inland waters captain can go to Port Adelaide and spend 2 months down there and pay $8,000, walk out. But then the only thing they're going to lack by doing that is they've got a ticket to operate a boat, but they got no experience on any of our vessels. So really, you need a training. The training's got to be done on our vessels.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're going to get people with these $8,000 tickets that know nothing about a paddle boat. They might know about a boat.
So we're going down the same route as we did with the engineer training 2 years ago.
Yeah. Sort of. Yeah.
But if we can copy what Sydney Harbour Heritage Fleet are doing, and they've already got the AMSA approval, I think we're one step closer.
So they they wouldn't have a college, but they must have some kind of training
Yeah,
where they sit down in lectures.
probably done it the same way as what you did with the first one, yeah.
I suppose in concluding that, can I suggest that, or immediately Doug's bought into that loop. I don't know if it exceeds his job description. I don't know. I know Doug is, in his job description, is to sit on this committee. And I don't know whether it is to attend Sarah and do that, but that's kind of,
Can't see why not.
well, that's Glenn's call because you're managing him. So the only other thought I have, which extends to volunteers overall, is which is a Glen one, with membership to Volunteers SANT, we can advertise for volunteers.
Correct.
Which we've never done. You have a wealth of maritime experience, but at the end of your maritime working life, you didn't know what a riverboat was.
Oh,
Come on, so, well, you didn't know them. Yeah.
No,
so
that's right.
I suppose, yeah, I'm trying to say is that we should be, before the other council areas pick onto it, be advertising on Volunteers SA for
there's a lot
people with maritime experience who are retiring.
Well, he's right. There's a lot of, I know quite a few captains retired in the 60s that could walk into
Whippersnappers.
whippersnappers, yeah. So, you know, but not everyone wants to carry on their careers. Some of them aren't as mad as we are.
No. So
Yeah.
anything else on that one? In that case, I lied. It's 20 to 12.
Not 11:15,
Not
10:15.
Not 10:15. Is anybody? Thank you for that
Just the next
discussion.
meeting.
The next meeting will be in Morgan on Thursday, the 22nd of October. I'd like to thank you all. And Jen, if Jen's still around, she's disappeared off the screen. She's gone. There's nothing else. I'll close the meeting.